Welcome, welcome everyone to a fun Friday. Hope you're having a good day. We're looking forward to bringing you our show today, Unraveling the News with Bruce Poppy. Bruce is here. Also, special guest Lewis Herms is with us as well. Can't wait. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? Boy, oh boy, we got a lot of news to unravel today, my friend. How are you doing, Bruce?
I'm doing fantastic. It gets even better. We just completed a little trek. We're left Florida. We went to Nashville for the Truth Tour last Saturday. Went home for a couple days, washed our clothes, jumped back in the car. Now we're in an undisclosed location in North Carolina for a friend's wedding. So we're here having some fun. Doing a little bit of R&R. Wanted to get on here with y'all and share some news because, like Robert said, there's a whole lot to talk about.
It is literally an avalanche of news. I mean, every day this week it's been, what you see at 9 a.m. is very different than you see at 12 noon. And by the time we do the show, 3 o'clock, I'm talking Pacific time, things have changed again. So it's like I keep throwing. So today I got smart. I said, I'm not putting anything on the list for today until at least 12 noon. So I didn't do anything this morning. I did other projects. I started to get the Truth Tour videos done because I need to get those done. So I've got a bunch of those up now, and they're going to be on the Renegade Media site on Rumble if you're looking for them. That's where you're going to find them. And and things are still shifting even as we speak right now.
Absolutely.
Where shall we start, my dear friend? Because we've got we can go in many different directions here.
Well, I guess, the biggest thing that's really running around right now, there's a couple things that pop in my head, but the biggest thing that's on that seems to be plastered everywhere is this whole Speaker of the House debacle. Disclosure, if you will.
Yeah, debacle's the right word. No question.
Yeah. I think, most people know the story of what's going on. We can kind of, recap, they got rid of McCarthy, through the negotiations from getting McCarthy in there. They had that vacate the speaker chair with just one person. So Gates said, I'm done with you. You're a lying SOB, got him out. Now they got to, they can't do anything. Essentially, the House is closed, and it, for all intents and purposes, really, it's a quasi government shutdown because the House controls all the money. So, these money launderers, criminals up there can't spend any more money without a Speaker of the House. So that's the good thing. I think it's a blessing. But they had 3 votes now, and then now all of a sudden this afternoon, they had a secret meeting, and now they voted to not even have him, go through another vote. They're going to kick him out altogether, and and try. They're going to have a candidate forum on Monday.
Yep.
So we continue on. The good thing is, in my mind, it's kind of exposing how divided, how screwed up our government is. There's essentially 3. Lewis and I was talking about this earlier. There's essentially 3 different divisions, and Don approves. So we got the criminal Marxist Democrats, but they're all sticking together in unity. And then we got the the GOP caucus that's in all complete disarray. Most of them, 20 plus, rhinos, war hawks, whatever you want to call it. They're all criminals. But they're holding things up and not wanting to move forward. And so it just shows you, it's kind of a microcosm, if you will, what's going on in the House of Representatives right now, of what's going on in the larger our Truth or Patriot movement, right? We cannot get any unity. Everybody's got their own ideas where everybody's running here, running there, running there.
Oh,
but
if
we
that's
all
all it
came
was,
together.
Bruce, if it was just ideas, we'd have unity. But what came out this morning was sort of fascinating because they had a meeting, right? Jordan went in with the 22, 25 that weren't voting for him. And they told him straight up, you're never going to be Speaker of the House. And the reason is because they're benefiting from the money going to Ukraine. That money going to Ukraine is coming back into their pockets. And Jordan was like, no way, we're stopping all the money to Ukraine. They're like, no, you're not. You're not stopping our train, our gravy train. No way. And that was never going to happen. He was never going to get in because of that.
Right. Well, that's pre-appropriated money. This new package that the resident, came out yesterday and announced, another $100 billion or whatever it is, split up between Israel and Ukraine. Somebody shared a meme, I think on Facebook or Messenger, and I got it on Facebook, showed two pictures of two like washing machines with money on the inside. And one of them had the Ukraine flag and the Israel flag, and it said, "If your first laundromat is such a success, why not go ahead and open up a second one?"
Yep.
You know,
exactly.
that's all this is. It's all about extracting money,
Correct.
a transfer of wealth from we the people to the elites. So they profit on both sides, and the only people end up getting screwed are we the people. So this is just a disclosure thing. Everything's going to shake out, and who knows what's going to end up happening. We could end up with Hakeem Jeffries. I've heard people rumbling, maybe let's bring in Bush Jr., to be speaker or whatever, or Trump or Byron Donalds. I mean, nobody knows, and I don't even know that they can get a consensus. There's just so much, division in the party. We got the rhinos, and then we got the MAGAs that are trying to do what they can do, even though, most of them are bought and paid for. So
well, that's the
it's
problem.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, this is the problem with only having a 5-seat majority, right? So you need pretty much everyone on board, and it's really going to be hard to get everyone on board. So they're going to do their conference on Monday, and they're going to pick a new name out of the hat and who they're going to try to support. And I think it's just going to go on for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes on beyond the middle of November, then that 45-day CR expires.
Yep. That
they put in the end of September. So then we're full on government shutdown. And Lewis called it. Hand clap to Lewis again for calling it before the midterm 2022. We was talking the red wave. We're going to have this major super majority, and Lewis called it. They're going to give us with the selections, give us just enough to think we got to win. We got a majority, but 4 or 5 seats, and most all of them are corrupt rhinos.
Yep.
It's like not having a majority at all.
It's crazy. Lewis, you want to pipe in?
Always.
Bring it, my friend. Bring it.
First, with this talk about Jordan not being part of the speaker based on the conference that they had and so on and so forth, mainstream media is running with that. Okay, mark my words. Come the next ballot, Jordan will be on there. Now they may have shifted their support to somebody else, but Jordan will be on that ballot. The news is making it sound like he will not be part of the speaker election process. I would beg to differ, but so we'll see what happens with that. Matt Gaetz just came out today, and he says the 8 people, pretty much, let's just call it part of the Freedom Caucus, right? The eight mainstays, part of that caucus. He says if the other 20 come on board and vote for Jordan, we will openly approve and let you censure us and do whatever you want to us. That's how much we care about we the people.
Yep.
So there's a lot of interesting things going on. Ultimately, you know what this is? This is just an exposure of the deep state. And I'm rooting, and Bruce and I had a conversation earlier, I'm rooting for a government shutdown in November, because the more that we can show the ineptness and the non-necessary government, the more it looks great for we the people, because we can start restructuring things the way God intended in the first place. So I think all of this stuff is beautiful. I don't see any negativity whatsoever. And the fact that they can't fund these wars through Congress, as you and I spoke about yesterday, Robert.
Brilliant.
It's great.
Yeah.
So the Senate can approve it. It really doesn't matter, because the appropriations we know go through the Congress anyway. Yeah. So
Congress controls the purse strings, right? That's what they do, and that's
right.
Their job. And so there was a secret ballot this morning, which was kind of interesting, because they voted to take Jordan's name off of the pre-selection for for Speaker of the House. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's just procedural or whatever, but it'll be interesting to see what their little conference brings up on Monday.
Yeah, I believe it's optics only.
Yeah,
I know anybody can nominate somebody for a speaker. So there's this one person, Matt Gaetz will probably do it. We'll just renominate Jordan anyways,
mm-hmm.
and then it'll really be a split house on the GOP side, and then the battle begins. In my opinion, this is just the ridiculous rhino politics, and it's really exposing all of them. So I would say the 136 people that voted secretly to pull Jordan off of the ballot should be the ones that should be investigated the most.
Yeah, it's certainly the case, and now we're seeing how they're all attached to money funding out of Ukraine, how they're being paid through FTX and yada yada, and it's like now it comes to light. It wouldn't have before, but now it's coming to light. It's like, oh, these Gordon came up and he said, no way, we're not funding Ukraine.
Yeah, although, and one of my major concerns with Jordan was the first one to say, I want to fund Israel.
Yeah.
So we also have to be very aware of this. And Jordan, although I've liked a lot that he does, he also has a little bit of Lindsey Graham in him, where he'll scream very loud and not follow up what he screams about. So we have to be, these are politicians. Let's just be real. They are politicians. And I really think we have no need for them in our future, but we'll see.
Politician can be pulled in any direction, right? That's really what it means.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're seeing. We're just not seeing anybody really take a principled stand here. There's one congressman this morning, he said he's gonna nominate Donald Trump. Another one came up and said he's gonna nominate Newt Gingrich. I'm like, okay, so now it's just going crazy, It's like...
Well, it is crazy.
The old Newt Gingrich was probably okay, but the new one, this is just insane. Bringing up all these old retreads, it's comical. It's showing you, like we said, it's showing you the ineptness of our government and the complete uselessness. I mean, you had mentioned too, about squeaky wheel gets the grease, right?
Yep.
And Don approves. Squeaky wheel gets the grease. So whoever screams the loudest, most of the time, it's the ones, the lobbyists, special interests with the money, grease in the palms, who get their stuff pushed through. We, the people, haven't been loud enough and in large enough numbers, unified enough for us to be able to get the things we want, because there's just not enough people standing up or making phone calls or doing what needs to be done, because we've been outsourcing our self-governance for far too long.
Such a good point, Bruce, that you bring up, because, we have not been on top of this. I think we've been complacent as a society. I think Dan Kennedy had mentioned this back in 2006, that we were suffering from mass affluence. Everyone's real estate was going through the roof, and everyone had plenty of money, and it was great. And we didn't pay attention at all to the Barack Obama thing. We didn't see it until 2010, till it was too late, that we said, oh, what happened here? This guy's declared war on small business, right? He's declared war on us as taxpayers and such, that we didn't see it. And it caught up. And yeah, we had the 4 years of Trump as a reprieve, but then, we're back into this battle again.
Right. I mean, Obama told us right up front, I'm going to fundamentally change America.
Yeah.
He was straight up. Everybody kind of looked over that. The whole even Ukraine thing, 2014, that's all Obama and the deep state. They installed Zelensky, the Canadian. They overthrew that government, back then, put their guy in. So, I mean, everything is directed by deep state, whether it's our CIA or Mossad or a combination of both. That's why I'm not a huge fan of Israel. There's a lot of people that's, it's my viewpoint, unpopular as it might be. Israel's probably, just as bad as America as far as corruptness and all that stuff. We can, I don't know if we got time to get into that whole. We can probably spend the whole show just talking about Israel and the history and, the Ashkenazis and everything that we know about Israel, or what is supposed to be Israel.
I'm going back and forth with Gene Decode. We're trying to find out which Friday he can join us for this show, because he's got a lot on that too. So that may be the show that we really dig into this a little bit more, because I'm confused about it too.
And people's opinion and viewpoint is kind of based on it's based on your worldview, right? I mean, if you're in that fundamentalist or ideological in that Christian situation, you're going to have a different viewpoint than somebody who is not.
Right.
So, I mean, it all depends on where you're coming from. Everybody's going to have, not everybody, they're not all wrong. It's just your personal opinion and viewpoint. There isn't right and wrong. You have to take everything in and then make your own decisions and judgments. That's what this whole movement has been about. It's not about everybody getting in line and groupthink. It's about, doing your own research and coming to your own conclusions and trusting your intuition. And my intuition says Israel is no bueno.
Master Baggy saying, yep, Bruce, you're on target. Thank you, Master Baggy. Lewis, you have a comment?
Well, yeah. And this is going to be my new saying for Israel. Is it real?
Oh, I love it.
And I think people need to contemplate that, because the Israelites are one thing. Israel is a separate thing. People need to do some research on this, and I think quick.
Well, I think it's the same thing like we have here. We have a corrupt government over there. You have a corrupt government over here. I mean, they reinstalled Netanyahu after he lost. They didn't want him. There were protests. There were 500,000 Israelis that didn't want this guy in power. He's driving the narrative, and it's not the narrative of the populist people. The uprising's different. And it's the same thing we have here. I mean, we're playing this game with this phony government that's driving us in directions none of us want to go. I mean, and more every day are against it, right? There's fewer and fewer quote unquote Biden supporters. And I don't know where these polls come from that say he has 40% approval rating. There's no way he has 40% approval rating, right?
Right.
I think they're talking about his bowel movements.
Yeah, maybe. Well, it looks like he was busted today. So this is kind of cool. This is
oh yeah, that's
come up
good.
Today. That they actually found, a check. Oh, I got a copy of the check here. Look at this. Joseph R. Biden, $200,000 and 0 cents as a loan repayment from a family member of all things. Isn't that interesting? What are they going to do with it?
A lot of this speaker stuff and all this Israel stuff is a distraction and to keep people from doing, because of this whole speaker crap, they had a big committee meeting next week that they had to cancel because of this whole, situation. So it's just pushing things off, trying to continue to hide the obvious corruption that these guys like Comer, they're, that's the guy's name?
Comer, yep.
Yeah, that they're bringing forward in these committees about, the corruption and the proof. All the media wants to jump up. There is no proof, just like the whole 2020 thing. It's baseless. It's baseless. It's baseless. There's no proof. There's no Biden profited. He didn't talk to Hunter about his business. We all know that's, fake, phony, and false, as Dave from X22 says. And it's all coming out, and the normies are seeing it. And so, I mean, the polls, I think, if you're looking at poll numbers, more than half, I think is upwards of 60% of people believe that,
How could you not believe it? Now you're seeing the proof. And of course, it's getting buried in the media. So this is like 4 or 5 stories down to find it because, yes, the Jordan thing is just the Speaker of the House is taking up all the air in the media cycle. People are just focused on that. And we're not really paying attention to these other stories. That's why I try to surface those that are, I think, personally more important than, who really cares who the Speaker is at the end of the day. It's not really that powerful.
No,
position.
I mean, yeah.
So let's put this into perspective. If 60% feel he's corrupt, right? Where did the poll come from? If it's a mainstream poll, we already know that it's a lot worse than that. But then you add into it the fact that the people that supported Biden are not going to admit it, even if they believe it in their head. It could be 70 to 80% think he's corrupt. Could be 85%. And I think those are realistic numbers if you really think about this. And what that means is no matter who replaces Biden, they're going to be welcomed with open arms. And this whole thing, I believe, is being set up for that exact purpose. So whoever comes in, even the Biden supporters may not say it publicly, but they're going to take a big, deep breath and go, whew, that was a close call.
Yeah.
I really think that's what's going to happen with this.
Going to be interesting to see where it goes because, again, these are committees that bring this information to the surface, but they have no teeth. They're all bark and no bite because this has got to go now to DOJ. And you know what happens over there? Circular file, right?
Yeah.
Goes nowhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that there's multiple proof of that. I mean, just.
So did I. Exactly. I'm full of T-shirt slogans today.
You really are.
So the
Bruce, I hope you're taking notes.
Yeah, I'm going to use spell check too.
Please do.
Yeah, especially if I send it over to you. So the reality is we do have to tear it all down because it's corrupt on every level. But let's say that sheriff found things within his county. He doesn't have any obligation to send that to the FBI whatsoever. He could take that, prosecute it to the max inside of his county if he so chose to do.
So this is what RememberYourOath.com
he doesn't
is
do
going
the
to be about.
prosecuting. He would take the evidence.
But he would take it to the DA, right?
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about Remember Your Oath,
why,
because that fits in perfectly right here, because that's exactly
100%.
what this is going to be.
Exactly right. So here's the difference. So let's say Remember Your Oath is in full force. By January, Remember Your Oath will be cooking with gas. That's right, not electricity. So it will be going full force by January. So you imagine this sheriff wants to turn something over, right?
Right.
We'll have 100 people show up his doorstep and say, why do you need to do that? Is there anything in here within the county? You can take care of that. Do your fucking job. Excuse my language in front of Robert.
Yeah, well, if we have the power of the people behind them, they're more likely to take action. That's what this whole thing. You explain a little bit about the vision. The vision is that we're connecting everybody, and we're letting them know, hey, number one, we're going to celebrate those who actually do their job and do remember their oath, and we're going to pressure those who don't, right? Those who are not doing their job.
It's a very simple premise. Is the oath is specific for a reason and shows them their constitutional duty. They say an oath under God to do their constitutional duty. So when they put paycheck before people, we have a problem with that.
Yeah.
If they're doing a great job and putting people before paycheck, we're going to let them know. Fantastic. So the beauty about Remember Your Oath and rememberyouroath.com is a sheriff that's doing their job is going to want to wholeheartedly support us, and they're going to feel fantastic that we're supporting them.
Right.
They will love it. A sheriff that's not doing their job will hate it and hopefully be pressured to do their job. It's a beautiful setup, and that's just scratching the surface of what we're going to be doing. That's why we're telling people now, go to rememberyouroath.com, watch a 10-minute video that we did, and all you have to do is throw your email in just to say you support. That support alone is huge in pressuring judges, sheriffs, any civil servant to do their job. So it's everybody out there saying, what can I do? Well, I can tell you we had, 50 to 80,000 people watch the first time I announced this, and we haven't had that many easily go there. So I think there's a lot of blowhards that they say they want to help, and they can't even take 2 minutes to throw their email into some, just say, we support you. And that's all we're asking. We're not selling you nothing.
Yeah. Well, if you want t-shirts, we got t-shirts too, but they're at cost, right?
They're below cost because we misprinted them.
Oops.
Yeah.
You didn't misprint them. You just found a new way to spell Constitution. That's the way I like to read it.
I like it. Constitution. And that's what we've been doing with the Constitution. We've been sitting on it. So it's the Constitution. See, we're way ahead of the curve here.
That's
absolutely.
Right.
The universe there's no accidents, there's no conspiracies or coincidences. But that Remember Your Oath is going to be huge. And like you said, Lewis, it's free. It doesn't cost anything. You just need to put your hat in the ring, saying, yes, I support civil servant sheriffs upholding their constitutional oath. And that the counter will be active, I think, end of October, beginning of November, something. So we'll have an active counter that people will see. Hey, these numbers are going crazy. And we need to, that's one small thing we can do to step up to hold these people accountable. Judges too, you mentioned judges. Well, I was on with Ethan Lucas last night. We were talking, and Ethan brought up, hey, how about, filing a bar grievance? I don't know anything about that, but it sounds pretty interesting. You can, I don't know if somebody can do some research on it. I'm probably going to do it myself, some research, but, filing a bar, hold them accountable if they're not doing their job the way they're supposed to. And, don't go off, I'm not saying you go off half cocked and just fire off all these stupid letters. We have to have some, proof and be lawful and legal in what we do in our civil disobedience. But we got to stop letting these people get away with these judges, DAs. This prosecutorial discretion is really annoying for me. As there's no bail going on in most of these big cities, crime is going through the roof. Companies are leaving California, Washington State, Oregon, because they can't. There's more shoplifting going on there than there is sales. So this is where we're going. If we don't turn something around, it's going to be an ugly thing. And a lot of there's some optics to this, but there is I think the optics are to engage us, to prompt us to action, not sit around and wait for get that savior complex, wait for somebody else to do the work. I'm
That's
not.
right.
I'm doing everything that I can. I know I can step it up, and I plan to. Going forward, I'm going to be hammered down, doing what we can to turn this country around.
Yep, it's beautiful. In fact, the second level of RYO is exactly what you're talking about, and that's what we're working on right now. So I think we're in the right place at the right time, and it's just time for people to engage and not think that for some reason that everything's going to be done for us.
We're no longer in the space where we have to hide and be ashamed of what we need to do here. We are the majority. We're clearly the majority, and there's a lot less fear now about stepping up and stepping into the spotlight, if you will, or being a part of something, just being a force, really, because there's so many of us, and we always say the other side is smaller, but they're louder, and the media amplifies their voice, so they appear to be much bigger than us. But if you pull back the curtain, you realize, well, they're really not that big. There's really, that side's not as big as they like to make themselves appear.
Well, that's part of the game.
Yep.
They always have, and that's why the saying "squeaky wheel gets the grease," because they're just louder and more organized than us. That's really all it comes down to.
Yep.
Within the FBI and the DOJ, I mean, this is all fear and intimidation to keep us from stepping up and standing out and being that loud voice. And because there's the people, it's just the way things are in human nature, that people are care about what other people think. They're fearful for their job. They're fearful from being socially, the social stigma. Their kids at school getting all kinds of threats because their parents are doing X, Y, Z, whatever. That's part of their fear and intimidation, is to keep us down. We can't do that anymore. We have to do what we need to do, because if we don't do nothing, the consequences of doing nothing are far greater than the consequences of stepping up and having being outed or chastised or doxxed or whatever on social media, or even having the FBI come knocking at your door. Bring it.
Well, perspective too, right? So you look at January 6th, and that's the one that's got everyone scared about stepping up, right? You look at that and you say, as you guys were there, so you said there were 2 million people on site that day.
Yeah.
There's still fewer than 2,000 that have been arrested. That's a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of that crowd.
Exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. So J6 was a psyop on both sides. It was a psyop for the good guys to get some stuff done, and it was psyop for the bad guys. After it happened, also the bad guys said, "How do we take advantage of this?" So they arrested people, and it publicized the arrest like crazy. So you'd be afraid to do what? To protest, because they do know it's effective. And then you have the buttholes like Sean Hannity, which is controlled opposition, telling everybody don't protest. But you know what? I want to bring it to something. If I could just take 2 more minutes of your show, guys. This is very important. Susan369 in the chat says this: Lewis, I'm wondering why me, as one of the people, I cannot take the same vow, like we should be able to take the oath and then use that to say I'm doing.
We lost you, Lewis. Did you mute?
Probably the internet connection.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Maybe the battery went dead in his headset. Dan, we're just getting to the good part here.
Yeah.
Well, we'll give him a minute, see if we can reconnect.
The truth tour, that recap, I suggest people go back and follow it. And I know Robert's working his guts out, separating out the speakers and that different thing, so you can, check different people.
You got me now?
Yep.
Got you back? Okay, good.
Perfect. Let me just finish up with her sentence. She goes, "I'm doing what I am doing here today." And she's talking so on and so forth after that. But here, I'm going to take this opportunity to give everybody a chance to follow me. I'm going to say the oath right now, because I think this is a fantastic idea. I'll stick my right hand up, and if anybody wants to follow, great. In the chat, just put like a thumbs up. You did it. Fantastic. In the comments, say done. Whatever you want to do. I think people need to take this oath. And as we have designated everybody,
They are definitely a deputy for freedom anyways. Is that not right?
Yes.
So what do you guys think about that?
I love the idea.
All right, cool. I'll grab it right here. I just happen to have it. Go figure. Here we go. Here we go. And I'll say a little piece at a time so people have a chance at home to repeat it.
Susan's happy.
I do solemnly swear or affirm.
I do solemnly swear or affirm.
I do solemnly swear or affirm.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Constitution of the United States.
Yep. Good.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
All enemies.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely.
I take
this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
Yeah. And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of we the people.
That I will.
That I did change it up. That I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of we the people.
That I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of we the people.
Yeah. Got it.
So help me God.
So help me God.
So help me God.
How many thumbs up do we got? 5 by 5. We got a bunch here.
Buckshot's got his hand up. Hemi Cat's thumbs up. Yep, everybody's jumping in here.
Cool.
I think that was a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
hadn't thought about that. That's beautiful.
Well, we already say that we the people are a lot smarter than us. That's just proof of it.
Right.
I just take direction really well. I did change it to we the people instead of office. That's what I changed out of there. Which
that's perfect.
I think is important.
Maybe we got to have a T-shirt and have that on it.
Let's get it done.
With spell check, though. We'll have to make sure we get all the words right.
Yeah, that won't be me.
Oh, okay. Shall we go on a little bit here? I know you guys are pressed for time here.
Yeah, we've got a few minutes, I think.
Okay. Well, another one bites the dust. Or another one flips, as they say here. Trump lawyer Kenneth Cheesebro follows in footsteps. Fears for Dawn. Yeah, I think a little bit hypey of a headline. What do you think?
Very clickbaity for sure.
Very clickbaity. Daily Mail, go ahead.
I don't know what the inside deep baseball is on this, but just my gut tells me that they're doing this for a purpose and reason. Probably number one, to save a whole shit ton of money, because that's part of this lawfare thing that these guys like to do.
Yep.
Like they're doing to Mike Lindell, trying to send him broke, because the only people that win in these lawsuits or these types of things are the lawyers, because they rake in the cash. But for her, Sidney Powell, and now the other guy that was supposed to have the speedy trial was supposed to start sometime here soon, like this week or 23rd.
something. It was supposed to start next week.
Yeah, so they're the third. That's three people now that have made a plea deal. Sam, can't remember his last name. The bail bondsman, he made a deal. Sidney, and now this other guy. There's three. The optic that I see is that the mainstream media is going to use this to continue to propagate the bullshit and lie that 2020 was legit, and that there was some type of problem with Trump and what we were doing and all the people, and that they're laying that groundwork. But I think there's a huge boomerang coming here big time, because I know like I know my own name that the 2020 thing was not legit, not safe, and not secure, and not free. It was a selection 100%. And so, for this Fannie Willis and this whole Georgia thing, I mean, if you read, it's comical, reading the charges against, Sidney Powell, and then she's got a 6-year probation, her deal, $6,000 fine, and she's got to write a letter of apology to the state of Georgia.
And to the people, yeah.
Yeah,
they both do. They both have to write a letter of apology. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
So I mean, this is it's all optic game.
Yeah.
I don't my only concern of seeing it is that the normies that were trying to win over the people that still believe it was that Joe Biden got 81 million votes, that they're seeing now three people making deals. That's an insinuation of guilt, whether they're guilty or not. They're just trying, who knows what the inside baseball is. But I'm not buying that the reason they're doing it is because they're guilty and they don't want to go to jail.
No, it's lawfare. And I think what they did, Lewis and I were talking a little bit about this yesterday, is they just stacked the charges so high that you're not going to be able to fight it. Like you said, it's going to cost a fortune. Forget just lawyer fees, but also in time. And at some point, it's just better to take the lesser of two evils, take that low end plea deal, and get out of it. They don't have to do prison time.
It's misdemeanors too. It's not felonies.
Right.
So
yeah, so there's no prison time. There's just probation for 6 years. It's crazy.
Exactly right. So you nailed it. So there's a couple things here. Mm-hmm. One, as we mentioned yesterday, thank you to, again, somebody in chat. There was 6 counts of conspiracy. There was $6,000 charged, right? And 6 years probation. Yeah. 666. Yeah. So there's some interesting optics there for sure. But if you think about this, I'm fairly familiar with this. I actually worked with a guy who was getting some trumped up federal charges years ago. So I was deeply involved in this, and I can tell you that they throw conspiracy out there when they have nothing. And the reason why they have virtually a 99% conviction rate on conspiracy is because it carries a 20 to 30 year sentence, right? So if they put 6 of those charges, and they could be stacked on top of each other, right? The problem is that's a fear-based lawfare, and she could lose just one, and then she's done for the rest of her life because she's not the youngest bird in the hen house, right? So this is the game that they play. It's not just the money, but the game of fear, like you have to take something. Now, I will say though, as many years that she had up, for them to drop to a 6-month probation tells you one of two things. They have something huge on President Trump, which we know they don't, or it's a nothing burger. And they needed to make it so low and attractive so she wouldn't take this to trial because it would make them look horrible. I believe it's a nothing burger. Now, the beauty about it is reading into this, and I'll read into it some more. It doesn't appear that she has an obligation to testify against Trump. She may just have an obligation to testify or be a witness, which is great. What if her witness and testimony is completely exonerating President Trump? She has a lot of knowledge on that. Again, this could all be optics. I don't know. But to drop that charge where you can get, pretty much life to 6-month probation, no time served even, that's so ridiculously low. I would say that they don't have anything on her, which is great. Probation. I'm sorry, but it's just probation.
Yeah.
So it's a nothing burger.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's a nothing. There's nothing that a 60-plus-year-old lady is going to do that's going to get her in any trouble, anyways, right? That's going to affect her probation. That's an absolute nothing burger.
I don't know. Linda White. She's always getting arrested for doing patriot shit. I'm joking.
Right.
Linda White is a great lady. She came she's been in a lot of our events. And she has a story where she stood up and she's gotten arrested a couple of times for doing patriot stuff. So I joke around with her about being arrested.
Right, but I'm saying it won't be against her probation. So this is we'll see what happens. I think that she just took it because it cost her a fortune, and she's not going to take any chance whatsoever. And a misdemeanor is just a misdemeanor. In fact, I believe she could, if she wanted to, she could still practice law over this. Am I wrong?
Yeah, she did. Her license is not suspended. Yeah.
So it's really it's a non-effect, and if anything, it's a badge of honor for her. So we'll see what happens. My stance, and I've talked to many J6ers on this, is I wish they would not take any deal, but it's tough. It's really tough to say that from my standpoint.
It is. Yeah, they've got to play the game. They've got to get in there and do what's best for them at some point too. It's not just just not the optics. And who knows who's on their team? Who knows who's advising them? You know what I mean? There's more to it. She's not making this decision by herself either. None of these guys are.
Yep.
So, Again, it's the game we see versus the game we don't see, the hidden game, the stuff that the backroom deals and such that come up, and we may never find out what's going on for real. You know,
I think on this type of stuff we'll find everything out. I think when it comes to the top cabal criminals and the top white hats, I think we're never going to find out who that is.
Yeah, you're right. I'm hoping that that's not the case, but it just may be. There's a lot of nameless and faceless people pulling strings. You're right. We're never going to find out who they are or who they were, because we're hearing a lot of those guys have been taken out, but who knows, right? Unless we see it, it's hard to know for sure. So, and I'm not seeing it.
It's tough, no. But what we do know is there's body doubles and masks. I think we've pretty much proven that.
Yeah.
We just don't know who's underneath that mask or body double.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't even know what side they're playing on.
Yeah, we hear of the story that Biden, the actor, is a white hat, and it's just like, well, no, if he was, why would he be doing what he's doing? That doesn't make any sense, right? So you hear the story both ways, and you go,
Yeah, well, and I could disagree with you on that too.
Mm-hmm.
If do they really, a black hat really want to make him look like the most inept guy on the planet? So you can kind of go both ways. I believe it's supposed to look both ways, though. I think that's the idea of what's going on here is the guys, good guys, bad guys, whatever you want to call them, are trying to keep us completely off of balance.
Yeah.
I've had more indication from somebody we all know that there has been more troop movement today. He saw in his neighborhood near Nashville. In fact, I'll just say who it is. It's Ethan, and he says he's not within 2 hours of a base, and Black Hawk helicopters. He sent me videos are flying over his house. He says in all his time he's been in Nashville like a dozen years, he's never even seen anything close coming around there, which coincides with what I said was going outside of Nashville, where it appears that. Well, here's fact. Let's talk about fact and let's talk about speculation. Fact is, all the hotels outside of Nashville are completely filling up with people on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, and they've never seen this happen in the history of their businesses. I talked to between my wife and I, a dozen hotels. All of them said, we've never seen this happen. That's a fact. They all look like their ages are between 20 and 40, short haircuts. Now, they don't look like they're all out of the country. They look like they could be, I don't know, maybe from our army. I don't know. Or what everybody wants to hear is that they're part of the reserves. Maybe they are. All we know is those are facts. And him and other people are getting tons of reports this last week of equipment movement and Black Hawk helicopters and non-signature military flights. These are not from the people watching them. These are people on the ground watching them come in at all these airports. We're getting the reports all over the place. So something's happening for sure.
I'm right off Camp Pendleton. I've been seeing a lot of helicopter activity this week too. And it's interesting because they're all outbound. It's all sort of one direction. They're not, normally they fly around, they do their training, whatever, but these guys are outbound and they're flying much higher than what I'm used to seeing too.
Interesting.
Something's going on.
I can add to that. My drive up here from Florida, we were going up 70, coming up, it was actually on 95. And Nellie's got some pictures. There was a small caravan with maybe 6, 8, Army looking vehicles with the brown camo, Humvee leading them off. There was a Humvee in the back, and then there was a couple other ones in between. And then there was some big truck. It wasn't a tank, but it was some type of big truck that was on a trailer, but they were all in the brown camo military, heading north on 95 when we were, driving up through, it was past, I think it was around Jacksonville or just north of Jacksonville.
Yeah. Wow. That camo tells me they're going to the Middle East, right? It tells me they're going into a desert location. That light tan look, because normally you'd have a dark green if they're going into a jungle, right?
That's the different kind. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
If it's all boots on the ground right now, I don't think they give a damn what color the tank is.
Yeah.
At this point, yeah, I'm sure they got to. Well, like you said, Lewis, eyes open, right? We don't know what's happening. We just know something is happening. There's a buzz, and we'll just keep an eye on it. We'll keep watching and watch for signs and signals and report back here on on Monday or sooner if something pops before then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like whatever's going on, it's going on the outskirts of the major cities. So I like to look at it from a positive. That's where the good guys would go if they're trying to prevent something or contain something that may happen.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully it's that. And then it was brought to my attention from Truth or Today that they go, what if they're pretending to be that and this is actually the bad guys? I'm like, well, if they're going in the inner cities, I'm not too upset with the bad guys either. So we'll see what happens. But the reality is something is happening right now. And if anybody's ever watched this show, they've watched Bruce, they watched Robert, we don't speculate on stuff like this. So clearly something's going on. I've had a private phone call that this gentleman, who I know very well, extraordinarily connected, said he's in touch with 3 or 4 people that directly are saying it's on like Donkey Kong right now. So
Wow.
We'll see what happens.
More of these kind of riots? Don't know.
No, I think it's time for us to wake up.
Yes. We need to
100%. I mean, and if you look at it, Israel has been, bickering, and they've been, firing rockets back and forth with Hamas for seems like forever. But I don't remember ever looking back in my memory that there's been so much pro-Hamas marches, demonstrations, things that are out there in the public, all kinds of different things. I've never seen that much. And, now the question is, being that, Israel is in such need of aid, I'm wondering when Netanyahu is going to go on a tour, begging other countries for money like Zelensky has been doing ever since the Ukraine thing started. That's another thing. When, somebody starts a war, the leader of the world, the leader of that country goes around the different countries begging for money. I wonder when Netanyahu is going to go on his, world tour, his PR campaign.
He didn't, Bruce. We sent Biden over there, remember? He went over there this week and he promised them that he's going to get the money. I don't know how he's going to do it with Congress not operating correctly, but it's interesting to see that he's not coming to us. We went to him. Probably with an open checkbook, I would imagine.
Yeah, one that'll bounce because Congress can't sign it.
Yeah, they can't sign it. So
Internet's done.
Toast, huh?
Well, the internet's wonky here. It's in and out. I don't know. Are you planning on continuing with some story stuff, Robert?
Oh yeah, I've got a bunch more.
Lewis and I got to bail.
Yeah, no, not a problem. If you guys got to bail, because I know you have appointments and stuff. So hang out if you want to, or whatever.
All right, I'll head over to your room, Bruce. God bless everybody here. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everybody. Lewis. Thank you, Bruce.
Put a bunch of hearts in chat for Robert. He's been a trooper while I've been gone and Bruce had been out, and he's not holding up the fort. He's like building it and keeping the roof on top too. So thank you, Robert. Love you very much for everything you do.
Okay, love you guys too. Thank you so much. Enjoy your meeting, and we'll see you back Monday for the next show.
All right, you take care.
All right, take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
All righty. Said there was more. A few more stories that we want to go over, and I'm going to put this picture up. I hope it doesn't break your screen. This is the crazy judge in New York that is trying Donald Trump for his trial there, and he's trying to say that this post violated the gag order. Interesting. So why is Judge Engoron's principal law clerk, Allison Greenfield, palling around with Chuck Schumer? I think that's a valid question. What do you think? That's a valid question? So why then, is he trying to put Trump in prison? Well, it kind of makes sense, right? If you want to go after someone like that, maybe that's what you end up doing. It's just pushing it. So he threatened to imprison Trump on Friday for violation of his partial gag order. The leftist court does not want President Trump defending himself from these wacko officials in the press. This is not justice. This is tyranny. This is from Gateway Pundit. Judge Engoron does not want the public to know about the far-left operatives working on this case and the leading presidential candidate. Look at the post in question. You decide. Now, this goes on. Because I told you things change, right? So I look at it and say, we've got this great story and this is what I'm going to share. But there's an update to the story. A few hours later, it turns out Trump deleted the post on Truth Social. And then the judge fined him $5,000 for calling his clerk Schumer's girlfriend. That was what the upset was about. That was it. Trump said this is Schumer's girlfriend, and so he got fined $5,000. He's not going to prison. Do you see this? What they're trying to do? It's just they're trying to discredit Trump at every state. And here's what's really interesting about it. Every time they do this, he gets stronger. He gets more popular. It's almost like, I remember what Ford, the guy, Henry Ford, how he started Ford. He said, I don't care what they say about me in the media. Just make sure they spell my name right. Kind of what's happening here, right? We're seeing that and saying, okay, this is kind of nice to see that everything they're throwing at him, not working. Not one bit of it is working. All of us are waking up and realizing, they're trying to set these traps, little traps. He can't post anything on his own social media account without being threatened with jail. This is the world we live in, folks. This is a little bit crazy, this world that we're living in. All right. So where's Biden in all of this? Right? He's somewhere. We don't know where. Things are going crazy. The world is on fire. Oh, wait a minute. He hit the beach. He's on vacation. What is he doing on vacation again? Well, he hits the beach while Israel preps ground invasion of Gaza and U.S. troops are targeted while Congress remains paralyzed without a House Speaker. This is the president. This is the one who's supposed to be the leader of the free world, right? This is the guy who is, we all look up to as, he's the most powerful country in the world, the United States. This is the leader. He's on vacation again. I know, this is what it looks like. He's just doing nothing. This is where he is. While the world is on fire, he's just hanging out. How much longer, guys? How much longer do we have to put up with this before it's just going to end? I'm hoping that it'll end. Okay, let's go south. Let's go all the way to the border. And let's give you some data, some statistics on what's going on down there. So this is just a sort of a check-in. We're getting toward the end of the year. So I have a check-in, how the border's been going. There have been more apprehensions along the northern border. Actually, the southern border, they got it wrong here, in just the past year than the last 10, or I'm sorry, no, they got it right. Let me restart here. There were more apprehensions along the northern border of the United States in just the past year than the last 10 years combined. The highest monthly total of illegal border crossings ever recorded was during Biden's presidency. He also has the second and third highest ever recorded. Family group crossings also broke the record last month under Biden. The record for total yearly apprehensions happened in 2022 at 2.2 million. We're on pace to break that record in 23. An overwhelming majority of these people are adult aged males with no families. The reality is that we're being invaded, and the Biden administration is all too happy to sit back and allow it. Multiple governors have had to defend their own borders because the federal government refuses. And the question we're being asked with this article is, how much more can we put up with? How much more can we tolerate? Well, I guess we're going to tolerate as much as, until we get to the point we say, okay, no more. And I haven't gotten there yet. I'm looking, I just haven't seen anybody really getting there yet. And I'm waiting. I was waiting for people to get to that point where they're, going to do something. States are starting to a little bit. We're starting to see a little bit in Texas. But my question there with Abbott is, what took you so long? The invasion didn't start in 23. It started in 21. 2 years later, now you're putting up barriers slowly, and you're trying to finish the wall in some areas. Okay, I get it. But it took a long time. And they're only doing it now because they're at the breaking point. They've got so many people across that southern border. They're literally at the breaking point. They can't handle it anymore. And now they're getting pressure, get this, from sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, right? New York, you're getting San Francisco, you're getting Chicago, you're getting all these cities are like, hey, we can't do it anymore. So now they're putting pressure on Texas and saying you got to do something. Here's what's interesting. Texas is actually putting up a wall between Texas and New Mexico. because they're coming in through New Mexico, and New Mexico's not doing anything, and they're going right into Texas. They're like, no, we got to stop that. We don't want that to happen. We're trying to keep Texas secure. So New Mexico's not doing anything. Arizona is doing hardly anything at all, and you never hear anything about trying to stop illegals coming in California. It's not happening. It's where we are. So I'm liking this rememberyouroath.com because this gives us the opportunity then to all, what can we do? What can we do? Well, there's something going on in this. There's a sheriff over here. If we all, write a letter to the sheriff, or if we all get together, if we all show up at the sheriff's door and say, you got to do something because they've got the power, or there's a judge, or there's, let's have a meeting, let's have a protest, and you'll have an app that would connect all the people together, which we don't have now. If you try to do that on Facebook, what would happen? How many groups on Facebook have been deleted? Or people like us tried to get together, tried to coordinate, delete it. Instagram, same thing, right? And Twitter, better now, but still, still not perfect, certainly. So having a private app, which may or may not get into the app stores, they may get kicked out of the app stores, but it's okay. We'll just make